humility equals growth in every which way, including financial. So the clients who do really well, the people who do really well in successfully integrating the infinite banking concept into this life, is they get it ingrained like a new system of thought. They're the ones that keep asking questions, even 5 or 10 years. They stay teachable. They maintain meeting with us.
Welcome to the WinEH podcast. This show is focused on empowering ranchers. Whether you're a seasoned rancher or just getting started, we'll guide you on how to use the infinite banking concept as an alternative way to finance your operations. It's a better way to think about money. Join us as we discuss planning for the future, attracting the next generation, and the art of keeping more money within the family. Here's your hosts, Winnie and Lacy.
Hey, welcome in. You are in for another great session with Lacy and I today. We're back for another Becoming Your Own Banker book study session. And this time we are diving into page 34 of the 5th edition of Becoming Your Own Banker. And it's all about the arrival syndrome. And up until I read this book, I've never heard of the arrival syndrome. But what I have known about is kind of like in a different way of speaking about it is like, I did know about the whole idea of like, oh, that person's such a know-it-all, or right? That's essentially what it is. And I just remember this one time having this conversation with my mom, because up until, like, believe it or not, I'm almost in my 50s, but it wasn't until over the past 5 years I've had to really set aside some defiant natures that I've carried with me ever since I was a teenager towards my mom. And I think some people can relate to that in the sense that we might grow up, but sometimes when it comes to our parents, we may still have a tendency to act like a kid. And certainly there was certain things that I was carrying around since I was a kid. And I remember this conversation very distinctly with my mom. And she said, if you act like you know everything, no one will want to teach you anything. And it was just like one of those moments where it's like, oh, maybe she does know something.
Yeah. I can remember a similar, one thing my dad has, one of the things that has stuck out that he's always said is like, if somebody has to tell you how good they are at something, they're probably not really that good. And it can go along the same lines, right? And the arrival syndrome, it's a short section in the book, but it's actually, there's a lot to unpack there and go through. And it's something that, believe it or not, we do come across it more often than not. You know, I've sat with clients who say, yeah, but I mean, I already do this. I already do this anyway. Well, no, you don't. No, you don't. And let me show you why. So it's always great, though, to have, I want people asking questions and I want people challenging where they feel the need to. And so, let's dive into the arrival syndrome.
It's always a little amazing to me, like as Lacy and I were unpacking, how are we going to go about sharing the arrival syndrome today with all of you? Even though it's only one page, it actually packs a pretty good punch in terms of a conversation that Lacy and I intend on having with you today. It's, maybe, Lacy, you're a Christian and you definitely study and do all of this sort of stuff. So please stay with us. Some of you are not Christians, so we're not trying to make this like anything Christian. But as you know, Nelson doesn't hide his faith in this book. He's loud and proud about it, or just straight up to the point about it. But it's good to sort of understand his thinking about why he shares this. And then I'm going to go about sharing it in my way. So from your perspective, Lacy, this is one of the few places in Nelson's book where he also shares a verse from the Bible. And why does he share it, do you think?
Yeah, so it's an interesting verse, and I actually had to read a couple different versions of this, a couple different translations of Deuteronomy 8:17 and 18. And so these verses are warning against pride. And what the version that Nelson has here is, my power and the strength of my hands have produced this wealth for me. But remember the Lord our God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth. and so confirms his covenant, which he swore to your forefather as it is today. So I'm a loud and proud Christian. We live our lives that way for Christ. We walk in faith every day. And so this is interesting to me because I think why he shared this verse is to just reiterate pridefulness and how when we are being proud, it can keep us from opportunities that are right there in front of our face. And so in this verse, like God, he was warning the Israelites from being prideful because he knew they were going to become prosperous. And so in relation to the arrival syndrome, we just have to keep in mind that don't let our pride get in the way of us learning something new. And just like that client said to me, well, I mean, I already do this. I just do it in my own way. Well, number one, no, this client did not. They didn't even have a life policy. So they weren't practicing the infinite banking concept. I suppose maybe how they were rearranging cash flow and funds and being self-sufficient in that way, they were practicing a little bit of the same strategy. But don't let pride get in your way, because when we get to that point, and it says it right here, when this thing called the arrival syndrome infects us, we begin to rot. And so don't let yourself begin to rot, because what might be standing on the other side of your arrival syndrome or your pride is something that might change your life and the generations to come in your family.
Exactly. And he goes on to say, like, not only do we rot, we turn off or tune out the ability to receive inspiration because we already know all there is to know.
Yeah.
And also, like, we all know what it's like, I think, unless you've carried yourself as one of these people who just knows it all, right? But when you're talking to a know-it-all, what is it like to be around them? I mean, it is just not, let's be truthful, like, it's just not enjoyable. It's kind of annoying, right? What's interesting as well in this, so whether you're someone who's still exploring whether the infinite banking concept is something that you can implement into your life, or whether you are already practicing infinite banking, even though I have been practicing since 2010, there is something I'm always learning about the implementation, my relationship to implementing this concept. We can understand a concept and then quickly say, yeah, I know. Yeah, I get it. I know. As soon as you start saying, I know, that is, to me, that is a strong indication that you have some arrival syndrome going on.
For sure. And even, like you said, like, it can be a brand new client, or, I mean, you're years into this and you're always learning something. So, I mean, we're meeting with clients on a weekly basis to strategize. And some of these clients are very, like, their policies are very aged. So if we're going to sit here and anybody, listeners, whether you have policies yet or you don't, if we ever get to a point where we think that we know everything about the implementation or how this can benefit us, or a little strategy here, a strategy there, like, we're highly mistaken. And I speak that to myself too as a client. Like, I'm a client. I'm friend Lacy. I'm Rancher Way business Lacy, but I'm also Winnie Lau client Lacy. So, we have to continually check ourselves in all of those areas, because do I want pride standing in the way of what could be on the other side? Nope.
Well, and this is where I also think this page is very inspiring, or just like re-inspires me, is because we can certainly sit here and say, okay, yes, I think to most people, we are your coaches. We are the experts when it comes to the infinite banking strategy. And we definitely have what it takes to coach you to success. But it also takes, though, because the responsibility just doesn't rely on us to coach you to success. In order to really integrate this into your life, you also have to have faith that this will work, because sometimes life will throw us a certain whirlwind of circumstances that makes it really hard for us to actually see the light at the end of the tunnel of how this is going to work for us in our lives. Okay. Especially when we're sitting in like a financial storm. So, like, when I first started this process, again, not like I've been baptized twice in my life. I certainly am not comfortable making the same claim as you, Lacy, like I walk in the path. I will tell you this though, I do have faith and I do believe in God. I'm just not as comfortable saying all of those words, right? But
Right.
I know for sure, just like it's like not everything, we can't have everything black and white. It's like the wind. We can't see the wind, but we can feel the wind and we can
Mhm.
see the impacts of the wind when it's going really fast and all the objects are moving across our lawn or something, right? Or through the trees. And so we know it's there, just like, so our faith in knowing that this will work also is very, very important in seeing success and seeing this all the way through.
Mhm.
So technology failed us and we just weren't able to get back on the very moment when we started recording our session with Lacy and I. So I wanted to commit to completing our session around the arrival syndrome. And so essentially where we left off was that the arrival syndrome can creep in the moment we believe we've got it all figured out and we stop learning, we stop asking questions, and we unknowingly just close the door to opportunities that could actually shift our lives and our thinking and the legacy that we're actually wanting to build. So I shared a story about a person who was looking into this and said, hey, I already do this, but didn't even have a life insurance policy in place. And really, that's a perfect example of arrival syndrome at work. It's pride dressed up as confidence, but it's actually costing so much. It definitely growth, right? And then we got into something a lot deeper that even with great coaches like Lacy and I, this strategy only works if you bring your belief and commitment to it, right? So especially when life throws a storm at us, which it always does, and you feel like bailing on the infinite banking concept, right? And you don't always see infinite banking working like magic in the first few years, but very much like the earth element wind, you can feel the effects. And over time, the long term impact just becomes really undeniable. And you just have to keep going. So now let's talk about what happens next when you're brand new or actually a few years into practicing putting the infinite banking concept in place. So I'm going to talk about 5 things. Okay. 5 things that you could really take to heart and integrate around this. So the first is the arrival syndrome. It just doesn't happen once, right? Even longtime policyholders can fall into it. And they'll say something like, hey, I don't need to do my annual review, or I don't need to have a meeting with them because I already get it. I don't need it. And really, honestly, that's a trap. Be open, stay curious how this can really optimize your life in this moment. It's great to have a conversation with someone who's really vested in encouraging you on your journey to help you grow, right? So stay open, meet with us. The second point to make around this is humility equals growth, right? Growth in every which way, including financial, right? So really the clients who do really well, the people who do really well in successfully integrating the infinite banking concept into this life is they get it ingrained like a new system of thought, right? They're the ones that keep asking questions, even 5 or 10 years. They stay teachable. They maintain meeting with us. The third point is convenience versus control. So convenience is definitely, it's nice, but it's also a lazy trap. So control takes a lot more effort, of course, but it's also where the freedom really lives. And that's where you can really experience it. And so the infinite banking concept is about control. So it does take effort. So take that if you will. If you're already practicing infinite banking, just do it. I mean, it's hard to not have control and it's hard to have control. So again, choose your hard. So the fourth point is faith and action. So you don't need to have blind faith to do this. And that's not what we're saying, right? But what we do encourage is that you stay consistent and grounded in your belief that this is a way forward for you to experience financial control in your life, even when the numbers feel small earlier on. And the fifth point is just really to invite yourself to really reflect. Ask yourself, where might arrival syndrome be showing up in your life right now? And what might be waiting for you if you cracked the door open again? So just allow yourself to sit with that question and listen to the answer, right? So, okay, if you've totally made it this far and you're still with us, you have officially dodged the arrival syndrome for today. So, got to cheer yourself on. But here's the thing, thinking you've heard enough without actually reading Becoming Your Own Banker, that's arrival syndrome in disguise, right? So here's what I really encourage you to do next. If you don't already have the book, or you have the book and you haven't read it, make sure you pick up the book and start reading it. But if you don't even have the book, head to our website or all the links that we have around here and grab yourself a copy. Don't just get the Becoming Your Own Banker books of what we're talking about. Grab the Canadian version of Farm Without Domain. And if you are not a reader, hey, no big deal. Just stay with us. Do the audio thing. We're on YouTube, Spotify, and on Apple, right? And it's so easy. Of course, I'm going to say subscribe so you can stay with us and learn about the next chapter. And hey, don't be that person who skimmed the book and maybe read 2 pages and say, yeah, I totally get what this is. I just want to say, spoiler alert, you really don't get it. So we'll see you next time. Same book, deeper insights, and much fewer arrival symptoms.
So glad you leaned in with us on the WinEH podcast. We truly hope you're feeling more informed and empowered to take another step towards optimizing your financial life. Right now, make sure you hit subscribe so you can keep growing and learning with us. Until next time, we wish you prosperity in every area of your life.